Okay, here is Chapter 2 on the 1811 Cub Cadet Governor gear problem. This is a new governor gear. You notice it's an assembly. It's got weights on it. As this spins, those weights are forced out like this. They in turn force that pin out. Notice how the pin comes back in? They're forced out by centrifugal force as they spin, and they push that pin out. Here's the old governor gear. Kind of hard to tell what the original problem was for its failure, as you can see. And down in here, see a little stub shaft? That's where the governor gear mounts. See that hole through the case there, a little, about a 1/4 inch hole? That's where the stop pin comes through, which I'll show you in a minute. So, we'll set this down. Get the governor gear here. And this is where you install it then. If you can install it. And hold the phone at the same time. Here's the stop pin. It screws into this case. It's threaded in the hole there. It comes in from the outside, and it has to clear this gear. That's what keeps that gear back against the shaft there. The problem is the gear doesn't go back far enough to allow that stop pin to come in and clear that gear. Actually, the clearance is worse than it's shown here because there's actually a little washer that goes on behind that. I didn't install that. So it actually moves this gear out a little further, about like that. And if you look down through there, you can see that once that pin is put in that hole, it's not going to clear the face of that gear. The face of the gear just rubs against that stop pin, and that's what keeps it in position. Now when those weights spin and that pin comes out, what it does, this little deal here is installed back in here. I should put it in better, easier if I take this off. If I can get it off. I don't know why it's not coming off easily. Now, we'll put this little shaft in here. Just a second. Okay. See that little thing there? When that pin comes out from the governor gear, it bears on this and it rotates this. This in turn has this lever that's mounted on that. And then a spring is mounted in one of these holes, and that spring then is attached to the carburetor. So as the engine speed forces that pin in and out and tries to maintain a constant speed, it's regulating those weights and the pin in the governor gear is regulating how much gasoline is put to the carburetor, and it tries to regulate the speed to a constant speed. That's how it works. The problem here, we think, is this little stub shaft is pressed into a hole. I'll go around the other side. It's pressed in this hole here, right in here, if you can see that. Right here. It's pressed in from the side. It's got a ring in there of some sort. It's a kind of a strange looking ring. I can't even imagine why it's in there if that thing is pressed in. It shouldn't, that shaft shouldn't move, but it's got that ring in there. And you can see that the shaft, that stub shaft, is pressed in pretty far. We think the only thing that explains what's going on here is that stub shaft has moved inboard and interfered with that gear, and possibly even is what caused it to fail. But it also prevents me from now putting that new gear in there. So I'm going to try to push that stub shaft out a little bit with a C-clamp. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know if it'll move. We're going to try.